One Battle After Another is directed by Paul Thomas Anderson and stars Leonardo DiCaprio, Sean Penn, Jason Finity, and among others. And this story, it deals with a former revolutionary played by Leonardo DiCaprio who has to go essentially save his daughter from Sean Penn's character, who's a colonel, a war colonel that was after Leo's character from the years prior in his revolutionaries. And as the movie goes along, he starts to get in some crazy stuff where he can't remember certain things, like certain codes and stuff like that from his group. And it kind of also it goes into some like kind of Coen Brothers type of territory, like movies like Burn After Reading, Big Lebowski, and hell, I even got like some other instances of even Paul Thomas Anderson's other films, like Punch Drunk Love in some aspects. So this was certainly one I was definitely looking forward to, because to get into some backstory, I really love Paul Thomas Anderson as director, and if you know me from my channel, my all-time favorite movie is Magnolia. And I also do enjoy a lot of love his other films too, like Boogie Nights, definitely Punch Drunk Love. And I still need to watch more of his films that I haven't really gotten the chance to fully watch, but I've seen pieces of, like There Will Be Blood and all that. But I did really enjoy Licorice Pizza from a few years ago, and I still want to check out like some other ones, especially Phantom Thread and Inherent Vice and all that. But I also remember liking The Master, but I haven't seen that one in a while. And so going into this one, I definitely had high expectations, because not only do I really enjoy Paul Thomas Anderson, but the cast involved too. You know, you got Leo DiCaprio, Benicio del Toro, and all that. And also the whole like father going to rescue his daughter and stuff. I thought was going to be really interesting, because even though that can definitely be like a very cliche in its own right with a lot of other movies that do that, it still also makes me really interested in movies that deal with the whole thing. And upon seeing it, I can say that wow, this was certainly one of my favorite films of the year. It was not only very captivating, and it shows how much that I really truly love Paul Thomas Anderson as a director, but also just it flies by at a very good pace for its own right, because this movie runs 2 hours and 41 minutes, and while you could see that there's certain scenes that could drag out just a little bit, I didn't really have that issue, because every scene felt like it was, you know, getting through at a really good type of level. It was actually going through at a fast. It was actually going through the plot and being able to get me invested in where it was headed, because there's some unpredictable stuff in this film where it's going in one way and then it goes to another. And so I like when movies do that, where you don't really know what to expect. And so to get my pros out of the way, I thought the cast in this were fantastic. Leo, what can I say? I've loved the guy in a lot of his other films. I have yet to see a movie I haven't liked of his. He nails it just like he always does, and it's great seeing him playing something different here where he's playing a father, because I really love the dynamic that he has with him and Chase Affinity, about their bond that they have throughout the film. And I really thought their chemistry was really fantastic and funny at times. Like, this movie has a lot of great humor to it, and I was laughing my ass off in certain parts that really had me cracking up, especially the scenes where Leo's on the phone and he's trying to get information from a rendezvous point, and he can't remember a password from years ago and stuff. There's this whole scene where he's like asking for a supervisor and stuff, and it definitely reminded me of that scene in Punch Drunk Love where Adam Sandler's on the phone talking to Philip Seymour Hoffman and all that. So it was certainly, I wonder if that was like a callback to one of Anderson's earlier films, but it was still, the movie also goes out of its way to make itself like going to stick with some like dark humor, but also it gets really intense at times. And the way that the movie, because for the first like 40 so minutes before we get into the actual time jump, you see all the stuff that takes place into it. And while I was kind of really wondering how this was going to affect the rest of it when you see what the characters are all doing and everything, I still found myself engaged, because I was able to really see how the movie progressed, and you see how every character has like their own type of flaws to themselves. Because with Sean Penn, when he comes in, he's one of those kind of characters that, you know, he's doing some pretty shady shit, and he does also have some menacing presence to him, like he always does. But he, in a weird way, his performance in this I really enjoy, because it's like he plays it very, like, I don't want to say hammy, but he puts it in like a very bizarre type of funny way, where the way that he kind of the way that he walks, and the way that, and just his overall like demeanors and stuff, it just really had me cracking up. And some of the weird shit that he's saying throughout the film, I'm not going to go into spoilers, but the way that he thinks of how he's trying to pursue one of the main characters, I found myself like really cracking up from it. And that goes for the rest of them. Like, the biggest standout for me the most is definitely Benicio del Toro, because I've always loved the guy in a lot of other films that he's done, especially Sicario and some other movies. But here, getting to play, and I know that he's also done some of Wes Anderson's films and with those type of comedies. But I appreciate that he was playing like a very reserved type of karate master and everything, and just his deliveries and his camaraderie with Leo, I thought was just really funny to watch. And there's even a part where, like, I won't go into too much detail, but let's just say that, like, there's a part where he's, like, putting his hands up and stuff like that, and he's doing, like, this weird kind of, like, dance or whatever. It had me really, really laughing whenever he was on screen. And I got to really enjoy the cinematography in this. It's really breathtaking to see, and if you get a chance to see this in IMAX, definitely see on the biggest screen possible, because Anderson really knows how to, make these type of sweeping shots where you're seeing the action follow the characters and everything. And it has one of the best car chases I've seen in probably quite some time, where, like, from the viewpoint, it's like it's going up and down, like something I haven't really seen too much in other films. And it was one of the best sequences in the entire film, for sure. But this movie was also unnerving because there's instances where you don't really expect to see, like, things lead into a certain direction. Like, when you find out more about what Sean Penn's character is doing, it kind of also takes a spin on something that I didn't really think it was going to do, and I really caught me off guard, but in a good way. The same thing happens when you get to find out more as the movie goes along about when you find out more about Leo's daughter's mom in the movie and the backstory that she has. And I thought that this movie has some twists and turns that you really get to see a lot how all the characters are unfolding and stuff. And so that was great. Also, the score is fantastic. And I don't know. I know this wasn't made by. I know the music was composed by John Bryan, who did a lot of Paul Thomas Anderson's earlier films. But the kind of piano type music that it plays throughout the movie, I thought was very reminiscent of that in a good way. And then it gets into some really, like, crazy stuff happening later on, where you see the military group going after Leo's daughter and everything that's pursuing. Like, it all leads up to a really intense climax that, it actually had me on the edge. And, like, there's more I can go into detail, but honestly, I didn't really have any flaws with this movie, despite some things they could have maybe spent more time with, especially when we get to more of the second part where we get to introduce more things, because it does feel kind of short-lived, especially, like, stuff that we get involved, like I was saying earlier, with the backstory involving with Tiana Taylor's character and everything, where there's a reveal about the daughter and about Tiana Taylor and all that, and so there's more that they could have really spent more time with and everything. But the way the movie plays it out and everything, I was still able to grasp with that, and so I'm gonna give the movie a phenomenal grade on the Film Freaks meter. And so, for those of you who have also seen One Battle After Another, let me know in the comments what you thought about it, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next review. I'll see you later.